I know what it's like when women speak up about stuff like this. And it's like, do I want to put myself through more? But then how can I not? How would I live with myself if I didn't? I thought about writing poems or poetry about it, and I just can't. I just don't know if there's any words that can encompass like how this entire situation has made me feel. Why am I trying so hard and limiting myself in my own head and limiting my own creativity based on the fact that I think that I'm gonna come off as a bitchy woman? I have every right to be angry. I just don't want to be in this position, you know? But I am. And so then I guess the question is, what the hell am I gonna do about it?
So I'm at an artist retreat in the French countryside writing my debut novel. And today is the last full day. And I'm kind of out here in what the locals call fairyland, trying to reflect on my experience and even put it into words. To talk about this, I would have to start at the beginning. Maybe not when I was born, but last year I was actually on a reality show. It was called Perfect Match. I fell into a really bad place after that. And I think when people say that, I think they mean that I'm talking about hate comments or stuff like that. And I'm really not. So I'm a first generation immigrant. I'm Dominican and Filipino. And so stories have always been very, very, very important and almost sacred to me. It's how we share our culture, it's how we communicate with each other. I've always loved fairy tales, that sense of kind of trying to figure out who you are in the world through a connection to magic, a connection to fable, a connection to the land, a connection to people, the people that have come before you, the message you're leaving for people who will come later, the people who are in your life. I've just found stories to always be a very powerful thing. And ever since I was young, I've always wanted to be a writer. So my experience in Perfect Match, I've never fully, completely talked about it. But I was the first person I matched with was somebody who was extremely hateful. They were racist, they were misogynistic, they were homophobic. They told me to my face that it was better to be called an N-word by the white person than be called a feminist. And this is someone who is Black, a person of color. I am a bisexual feminist. I've always been a very big activist when it comes to race, when it comes to sexuality, when it comes to gender. So this was horrifying for me to undergo. Every racist, homophobic, misogynistic thing he said, which was every single day, was completely taken out. We were screaming so loud, people outside, of our room, like just outside, like near the pool, we're like, who's yelling? And it was us. Like that was how bad it was. And so it's like, I was like, how could any other story exist? Like, how could it be possible to tell another story? And another story was told. All of that was taken out.
None of the homophobia, misogyny, or any of that is going to be in the edit. And it's just going to look like I am upset about yoga and a challenge. Yeah, I have this fear of being painted as a woman who's being over emotional and overreactive for no reason. It makes me feel so powerless in this moment because no matter what I say, it is never going to reach the millions of people that are going to watch the show.
There was a moment when I had said, I don't know who to choose. That was put in. Things that I said about a girl that I had liked on my first show, Too Hot to Handle, it was made to look like it was about this homophobic man when it was actually about a woman that I liked. I matched with another guy who also not great, also said some very problematic things and was just very fetishizy about my sexuality. It was just very, very weird. Being there, it kind of felt surreal, and it really put me into an emotional state I'd never been in before, where I felt very removed from myself. I've always had such a concentration on women's stories, but that experience really has made me think about what it means to tell a woman's story more. Because I think the argument after the fact, when it was all taken out, was, well, we don't want queer people, we don't want Black people, we don't want anyone to see this kind of hate speech be said on a TV show. And then for me, it's like, okay, well then why was he on the show at all? Like, why wasn't he taken off? And he actually did end up going back on the show with another person. And that was horrifying as well, because then I had this girl who I had thought we were cool. I thought we were friends. And she acted like she had no idea he said any of those things. And I had told her. to her face. And I'm not even getting into the details of what he said. I mean, it was honestly like the worst hate speech I've ever heard in my life. But she knew it, and it was all caught on camera. And so it's like you're hearing it, you're receiving it, you're answering to it while also being mindful of the fact that this could not, everything he's saying could be cut out and what I'm saying could be put in, and it could just make me look insane. So it's such an insane position to be in.
It's not a matter of being the bigger person, because I feel like bigger people stand up to hatred, actually. And it makes my skin crawl to think that it could possibly be reduced and minimized to me being upset over yoga and a challenge. Why would I care that much?
I remember I watched the show at midnight and I was just sobbing. And I have not sobbed like that since, because I felt as if my voice and who I am and my story and everything I had to offer was just completely taken away from me.
I don't even know if I can keep watching this because it actually makes me feel sick. Like, whose reality is this? And it's like, when you shrink me and dissect me to be palatable, like, then what aspect of that is even me anymore?
It was so frustrating on the sense that it's like, why are these men protected at the sake of the woman?
Everybody else gets their stories told, and sure, it might be different, and sure, it might be whatever, but it's just like, I just feel like I'm in this constant place of having to fight for myself. These guys who literally don't care. They literally laughed in my face about it. Like, they did not care how they made me feel. How it still makes me feel. And they have to be protected for their mental health. Like what do you do with all the pain?
He had no problem being that person. He had no problem also like acknowledging that, yeah, it might not go on camera and you might look crazy. He told me after the show wrap that he had chosen me and done it to me on purpose because he wanted to have an alt-right podcast because there weren't many men in color in those spaces. And it's like feeling used on so many levels. And it seems silly now, but the reason that I actually went back and wanted to do that show again was because I really liked a girl on my first show, Too Hot to Handle. And that was not made possible. We asked to be together from day one. It was just horrific, like having to watch them sleep in bed with other people. And so I wanted that second chance. Then again, on Perfect Match, and we thought at the final party we were able to choose who we wanted to be with, and that was not the case. And so we left, me and her left in that van sobbing.
I never had a problem with my sexuality before. It's just like feeling so much shame, and then I hate myself because I know I shouldn't, but then it just makes me hate myself.
Again, like, what are these stories that are being told? Why are these stories being told? Why do these straight stories that are all the same things, like someone's scared of commitment, someone has insecurities, like it's the same shit again and again. Why are those prioritized over stories that are actually real and actually feel like reality? Love is political. People are racist, people are homophobic, people are misogynistic, people end up in relationships with those things. Those things are gonna have to be talked about. Like that's just reality. People are queer. People fall in love with the same gender and they don't expect it and it hits them like a truck. And I've had so many realizations about who I am on these shows, and it's so difficult because it's like you want so much to be grateful for them, and I am grateful for it. I don't regret it. I can't ever regret anything I've done because that would change who I am, and I have to like who I am because there's no other fucking option. But that's all to say, and that's very long-winded and a very big background, but it really made me lose my voice. And I have been posting on social media about feminism and activism since I was in high school. So, I don't know, nearly a decade now. And I just felt so disconnected from myself. Like I couldn't even sit with myself because I couldn't even process the enormity of what had happened and how fucked up it was. And I just felt very dissociative. I had a breakup with a boyfriend that year. I was living with him. I was living with my ex. Love him still to this day. He's one of my best friends. But at Christmas, after that show had come out, a couple months later, I moved back into my parents' house and I just haven't moved out. And that was over a year ago. So that was in 2023. And it is 2025. And it was kind of like my birthday last year in November. I was like, wow, I've been here a year at my parents' house. And I genuinely, when that show came out, lost 20 pounds in like 3 weeks. Just, it's so hard to put into words, like how terrifying and how like personal and hurtful it is to try so hard and to be like, I'm putting myself out here and this is who I am, this is my story, and this is what I want to say, and have it not only used against you, but just completely erased. I lost my voice. I just didn't think anything I had to say mattered.
It's like one of those things that makes you feel like so alone. And like nobody cares but me, you know?
Find it difficult to express myself. Even making this video is kind of difficult for me to do. I kind of was aware of that, but I'm noticing it more now. So anyway, going back to my birthday, sorry, I'm jumping all over the place. I'm ADHD. But it was my birthday. It's my frontal lobe year, 25. I've looked forward to this for years. And I was like, I need this next year of my life to be my creative resurrection year. Like, I feel like I have something in me has died. It has died. And I sat with that grief, but I didn't really mourn it because I didn't want to accept it was dead. It was just denial. Like, it's fine, everything's fine, you know, it's reality TV, it's not a big deal, this shit happens to everyone, all this shit. And it's hard for me to even take that seriously now. It's hard for me to take myself seriously. It's also hard to balance with the fact that I am grateful for that experience, and it's a really cool thing to do. I've always been so happy to do those shows. I always wanted to be there. It just makes it so much more sad that it keeps happening to me and probably to other people as well. On my birthday, I was like, I need this to be my creative resurrection year. I'm turning 25. I've always wanted to be a writer. I've always wanted to be an artist. This is not the way I wanted to live my life. I do not want to live in fear because of this experience that I had that makes me feel like I have nothing significant to say. That makes me feel like I'm unimportant and uninteresting and whatever. All the ways that it beat me down and make me feel like my story and what I have to say was not worth it, was not valuable, was not worth sharing. Even though I consciously know that that's not true, the subconscious is so powerful. So I really wanted to delve into my creativity, and I'd seen this girl post on YouTube. I'll link her below. I don't remember her name right now. She posted about writing a book in the mountains of Italy. And I saw this residency, and it's in a chateau in the French countryside. It's gorgeous. And I was like, I'm going to apply. It was the only artist residency I applied to. I got in. And I think I applied around December, heard back in March, or maybe February, heard back in February. And I'm here and flew out in April. So now it's May 11th. Been here for 3 weeks. This whole thing is so crazy because it's so hard to take a chance on yourself. And I have to admit that I have been really hard on myself in my time here. And I think I really realized about myself that disconnect. Like, what is the space between myself and myself by Fernanda Pessoa? What is the space between who I think I am and how I describe myself and who I actually am? Because I think I'm so confident. I would say I'm confident. I would say I'm out there. I would say I'm somebody who chases their dreams. I would say, you know, all these things. But am I? Because I haven't. You know, I've been trying to make my story be told in ways and in places where it's been made clear that these are not the stories that are being told, you know, and I let that limit me and I limit myself and I use that experience as a reason to not try again. And there's never a good enough reason to not try again. I started to notice I have just this extremely harmful way of talking to myself where I'm like, you're not doing enough. Like, you're lazy, you're this, you're that. This isn't good. You have no idea what you're doing. And I'm writing this book and I'm like, I have no idea how to write a book. Like, I'm like, what am I doing with my life? Like, this is, you know, insane. This is not going to work. It was just very much this constant pattern of what makes you think you can do this? Like, what were you thinking? You know nothing. You did not go to school for writing. You have no formal training in writing or film. That was another thing I did. I impulsively decided, you know, around in February, I was like, I want to get into film. I've always loved telling stories. I love capturing images. I love capturing videos. And I said, I want to make a short film. And 3 weeks later, I'd written the entire short film and flew out to San Francisco to film it with Brit, who, funny story, is the girl I liked on Too Hot to Handle and Perfect Match. So full circle. But yeah, and it's that impulsivity, I think, is what's making the biggest difference in how I'm changing my relationship to myself, how I'm addressing it, how I'm remaining connected to creativity, is that it has to be impulsive. It has to be as soon as that spark is there to chase it, because you will kill yourself while you're there emotionally and you'll kill yourself after. right? Being like, what makes me think I can do this? Like, I don't know what I'm doing. That space is so much easier to navigate when you just impulsively do it, because then those thoughts come when it's already too late. You already are here. You know what I mean? I'm already in San Francisco with this camera. Like, I have to film. I'm already at this artist residency in France. I have to write. I'm also filming. I did a couple short films while I was here as well. So it's like you put yourself in those positions and you worry about it after. You have to. And it is worry. Like, when I first got here, I just felt so desensitized to it. I didn't even allow myself to be excited about it because I was afraid I would be disappointed. And I got here and it was just so gorgeous and so beautiful, and everyone is so kind. And we did this thing on the third day. It was called Artist Journeys, and all the artists were speaking about, why they create art and how that is for them and how long they've been doing it and all these things. And I was again like, what the fuck am I doing here? I'm not qualified. And that gave me massive imposter syndrome, and I've struggled with it my entire time here. And then that goes back to the negative self-talk. I realized that, and it's hard to admit it, I don't think I like myself very much. I think I love myself, but I don't think I like myself very much, because the way I talk to myself, the way I question my motives, the way I question my ability, the way I question my own intuition, the way I, tear down every single thing. I don't hold up to the light the good things I've done. I hold up to the light every single wrong thing I've done, and I analyze it and I sit with it and I carve it into my body and my skin and my mind, and it becomes this whole living thing. I can tell you every single time I have done something wrong, and it would take me so long to think of something I've done right that was actually significant. And it's not the case. I've done a lot of cool things in my life. I think I'm a good person, and I know that about myself. But I don't act like it, and I don't treat myself like I do. And I think it's comes in parts. The self-trust is a big thing. Knowing you are capable, knowing you are capable of putting yourself in the position to follow your dreams, and also knowing you can execute when you are in that position. Knowing you are going to try and try again. That's self-trust. Knowing that you trust the ground that you walk on, that your values are significant, that your morals mean something. And then it's also that aspect of self-love, being kind to yourself, having grace for yourself, and self-compassion goes into that as well. And I didn't have self-love or self-trust. That's what I've realized here. I've become so avoidant. And also, it's kind of weird to talk about. It's kind of funny. Recently, this year, I kind of told someone I was in love with them. And that was really hard for me to do. It was really difficult and it was really scary, but I did it. And even that, I struggle with the avoidance factor of that. I'm like, oh God, like, I don't know what to say to them. Like, and I'm sitting here and it's like, I'm writing them love letters and all this stuff, and it's so romantic. And then I'm getting caught up in my head and I'm like, well, what if this happens? And what if that happens? And it's like, you have not even really given yourself an opportunity to find out, like, I'm already imagining all the worst that can happen. And like, experiencing romantic love with somebody and having another person on the side of it and being so aware of, them, and wanting to have that compassion and trust and respect there and that love there, it kind of puts a spotlight on how you treat yourself as well. I remember she was like, you need to work on the way you talk to yourself. And I was like, I do. But it made it so much more significant and so much more real. Even though I know that, it made me actually be like, okay, I need to go to therapy. Because sometimes it's like hearing it from somebody else's mouth, especially somebody you respect. And yeah. So that's also been something I'm going through right now, which is a good thing, but it's also terrifying. And I think that's kind of what happens when you open yourself up to creativity and passion, when you act in ways that are brave, your bravery starts seeping into the other areas of your life. And I told her I loved her, which is something that I've known for years and just worked with the courage to do. And it's been fine. It's been great. So, that's beautiful. I'm sorry I'm not talking about this in a very linear way, but the artist journeys that the other artists did, it really made me feel like I don't have the time or the training or the hours that these other artists put in. And I don't deserve to be here. I felt unworthy. And And that's been something I've also had to work through. Why do I feel unworthy? Why do I feel as if I need to hit every single mark? Why do I feel like there even are marks to hit to be a good artist? Good is such a subjective word. I'm at a place now where I can be like, I'm talented. I think I'm fucking talented. I am. I do think that. I'm working on knowing it. I do think it. And the other artists have been so supportive. They do such amazing and cool things, and just the things they say just in conversation while eating, while just having a drink at night, while just meeting up on the steps, like on the way to the studio. Like, they're just so profound and have such clear insights into life and who they are. And they are so in touch with their emotions and their feelings. And I started to get worried because I hadn't cried. I wasn't crying. That's what really made me feel like, wow, you are very disconnected from yourself. Like, I am so scared. I have so much fear that I have lost connection with my own emotions, because that seems safer than just living life with my heart out, you know? And I don't want to live like that. I don't want to be that person. I've never wanted to be that person. I've never wanted to feel disconnected from my emotions. I've never wanted to feel disconnected from myself, from my art, from the way I express myself. That is like one of the most precious things in the world to me. And I lost it out of fear that nobody cared. I didn't want to confront the shit that I've been through. I didn't want to look at it. Didn't want to accept it for what it was. I still don't even know how to process that, all that I've been through. I'm still working on it. I don't have the answers, but I'm not going to be so scared that I don't go out looking for them. And that's something that I've gained here. That sense of, I'm going to look. I'm going to fuck around and find out. I think that fear has been looked in the eye. And I think that it's not the absence of fear, but it's the ability to directly see it and not look away and face it. You got to fight, and I was in flight. I was in freeze and flight. And it was hard for me when I first got here because I was like, I don't know how to write a book. It's such a personal concept and such a personal idea to me. And these characters are so personal to me that I was questioning if I was ready to write it. And I still question it. I'm like, am I ready to write this book? Am I qualified to write this book? And the crazy thing is, I am the only person who may be qualified to write this book. It's like, am I doing a disservice to myself? Am I doing a disservice to other people by writing this? Like, is it going to be a failure? Is it going to be a disappointment? And I just need to write it. One of the writers, she gave me the best advice with that. I was so stuck with it because I was like, I need to have an outline. Like, I don't even have an outline. Then I was beating myself up for coming to France without a fucking outline for the book I'm supposed to be writing. And she was like, just write it. She's like, fucking outline, fuck structure. She's like, get that first draft on the page. And that helped so much. That like literally unblocked me. I've just been writing. I don't have a structure. I have ideas. I have concepts of a plan. But fuck, even if that first draft is like 800 pages, that is so much to work with for the second and the third. And I don't know where it's going yet, but I'm excited to find out. And that was a position that I was not in earlier. And so that was so helpful for me. And there's also a clown here. Her name is Maddie. She helps me realize I had lost my connection to play a lot. And I'm such an imaginative person. And I think that was another one of those things I was like, I cannot bear to lose this about myself. And I've lost it about myself. I'm losing the things I cannot bear to lose out of, again, fear. This thing of like, you need to grow up. And this thing of, what's the sense in play when everything is shit? Everything always goes wrong. Nothing ever goes right for me. And I try so hard and I put myself in these positions. So why would I try? And play lost itself. I lost play in that because I shut down my imagination. When you shut yourself down, you also shut down the light that makes you see the world in a different way, that makes you see magic around every corner, that makes you look at trees and think of pastels, that makes you stop by a flower and think of Thumbelina, that makes you see light flickering through leaves and imagine a different world. Like, these are all the things that are necessary for me to survive. Do I think that's necessary for everyone? No, but it is necessary for me. My connection to magic and my connection to play is absolutely essential for me to feel like a real fucking person, to be honest. I've always had a very strong imagination. And the way she said, and she was like, you have to stop taking yourself so seriously. You need to allow yourself to be silly. You need to allow yourself to be dark. And she's like, the interesting thing, and I didn't know this about clowns, is they can be like tragic, they can be sad, they can make political statements. Like there's all these different ways to be a clown, but the important thing is you take yourself seriously within all of them, and you also are able to make light of it. It's like this transmutation of darkness to light, and doing it in a way that's playful and fun and not hard on yourself. Because I think in the healing journey, thinking about, this gap between who I am and who I want to be and who I've been, it's so easy for that to be such a difficult thing, and it feels so rigid and locked tight. And it's like, that's why I fucking didn't leave the house for nearly a year and moved back to my parents' house, because I was like, I was punishing myself. I was telling myself I was healing. I was telling myself I was processing, but I really wasn't. I was punishing myself. I was keeping myself from the world. I was keeping myself from imagination. I was restricting myself. And I was saying, this is how I'm going to grow up. This is what's going to make it better. And it didn't. So I thought the beautiful thing about clowning is that it incorporates play and all of those beautiful things into healing, and saying you don't need to punish yourself. Actually, you can have fun with it. There's joy there too. So that was really nice. And there were so many like encouraging words from different artists and all these things that have also been so beautiful and so helpful to me. I've also learned to pivot. I think pivoting has always been super important. I've always actually been pretty good at pivoting. Like, I did ballet for around the first 10, 12, 13, 14, long time of my life. And I thought I wanted to do it forever. Thought I wanted to be a professional ballerina. And then I decided, no, I want to go to college. So I went into engineering school. And then I got in a car accident. A guy ran me over in the street. I was a pedestrian. And people thought I was dead. Yeah, it was bad. A couple months after that, I went on to What to Handle. And then I decided to move to LA and quit my job and did social media. And then I went through a breakup. And then I went on Perfect Match. And then I spent a year at my parents' house basically holding and licking my wounds. Now I'm in the French countryside, writing a book and shooting film. And I'm going to submit my short film to festivals. And it's like the pivot. And I think the thing that helps me the most with the pivot is that I do not think about the literal decisions. I do not think about as much. And what encourages me and what says, take this step, make this pivot, is not the literal sense of the things. Like, is it like, do I want to quit ballet? I don't ever have to quit ballet. I can walk into a ballet studio tomorrow. I do ballet everywhere. If you watch my content, I do it in nature all the time. I do it in my room. I dance every day. I didn't lose ballet. Not pursuing it professionally did not make me lose it. And I think that's an important thing to realize. When you pivot, it does not mean turning away completely. It just means taking a step in a different direction. And also, you still have all the steps you walk down that path. All those steps I took as a ballerina, I still have them. I'm just moving in a different direction. They come with me on this new path I take. So I think more about the pivot. I think about, what kind of person do I want to be? What kind of life do I want to have? What do I want to come home to within myself, and also physically? What do I want my life to look like? Do I want to be going to lunch with my friends? Do I want to be traveling? Do I want to be in nature? Do I want to be surrounded by it? Like, all these choices, I think not of the literal choices being made, but of the life that they will lead to and the person I will be in that life. And I pivot. And I think when I lost that sense of self-trust, I kind of lost my ability to pivot, but I'm still pretty good at it. So while I was here, I was struggling with the writing. As I've said, I just couldn't write anything, did not even know what to put down on the page, didn't want to touch it, didn't want to read anything, didn't want to look at it at all. So I said, well, I have to do something. And it's beautiful here, it's gorgeous here. Shot a short film. And I have another film that I have not finished shooting that I would like to finish today, but we will see. We're going to make it work. We're going to make it happen. I've also been interviewing people yesterday, today, about themselves, about their art. And I think I'll interweave that. I think it'll be beautiful. I've learned so much from the people being here. It's been an incredible community, but you have to pivot, and there's not just one art for you. I think that being an artist is more than just one art form. Even while being here, there were visual painters who started to learn such different techniques. There were people trying all different kinds of things, all different kind of methods and ways to approach their work that they haven't before. And you need to constantly do that because it's important to be curious. Pivoting lies in curiosity. Having a good life, I think, lies in curiosity. You need to remain curious. When you are no longer curious about your life, about the people around you, that's when you know something's got to change. Whether it's, the environment you're in, whether it's the people you're surrounding yourself with, whether it's even yourself a little bit might have to change. Because it's important to maintain curiosity. If you don't have that, then what is the point in living? If you are not looking around the next bend and excited, what is there to live for? That is your reason to live. Is because and that's my reason to live. I struggled a lot with depression and anxiety when that show came out. I had agoraphobia after the car accident, which is basically fear of leaving the house. I just didn't want to be perceived. I didn't want to be seen. I'm still struggling with that now. Which is ironic, I know, because I'm doing social media, and you would think being cast on reality TV, you would think. But yeah, I actually do really, really struggle because I feel as if I have this thing, and I was talking to some of the artists about that as well, where it's almost like I want to rush out all my words, and I'm like talking so much and doing da 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 da, and it's like, where does that come from? Because I feel like at some point someone's going to turn to me and say they're not interested in what I have to say. I feel like I have to get it all out at once to prove that I have something to say. Because I don't feel like people really listen to me. That's why. And one of the artists here, Anne, she was telling me about that, and they do these beautiful things with themselves that makes you think I should do that with myself. Because I was doing her video interview, and she said, I need to take a moment. I'm rushing my words. I need to take a moment and pause. And I was like, wow. I've never done that. I didn't even know people could do that. Like, it's crazy. But of course they can. Of course you can. You can take a moment to pause. You can take a moment to be like, you know what? I want to really deeply reflect on what I'm saying, and I want it to be the thing I want to say, and I don't need it all to come out right away for me to hold on to this attention, for someone to still be looking and paying attention and caring. And that was really beautiful to witness. And one of the other artists talked about freezing and how, that was really difficult for her. And she said something beautiful about it as well. I feel like it was so much all these things are much more beautifully said in the moment. There's so many beautiful things that were said that I'm going to take with me for the rest of my life. But she said kind of something similar. She's like, I gave myself time. She's like, I would be in a conversation and she'd be like, oh, I'm freezing. She would acknowledge it. She would sit with it and then be like, I feel better now. It's like those moments of pause, those moments of grace, My moment of pause, which is that year I spent at my parents' house, it wasn't a moment of grace. And it wasn't even really a pause because nothing paused. I was so hard on myself and constantly beating myself up every single day. Like I said, it was a punishment. It was a locked room for me to punish myself in. It was constant torture brought on by myself. That's not a moment of pause. It's not a moment of reflection. That is a restriction. And it's traumatized me further, probably. Because now I know like a million different ways I can hate myself. I'm aware of them all now. Yeah, it's like really pausing and being like, well, what am I saying right now? What am I saying right now? To myself, to other people, to the world, what am I saying? Interesting because people come from such different backgrounds, or people who come from really difficult backgrounds, who have gone through some really traumatic things, and just the vulnerability and the way they talk about it and being able to say, I will talk about it. That's not very normal for me. I feel like I come from an immigrant household. We're from 2 islands, and they don't really like to talk about things. And a lot of people say islanders are very happy. They are very happy people. They want to be happy all the time. They want to stay happy. So that means you don't really talk about difficult things that much. But it's important to, because there's nothing wrong with your darkness. There's nothing wrong with your trauma. Just hearing people claim it, say it out loud, talk about it, have conversations about it, hold it up to the light and be like, this deserves to be talked about. This isn't something to be ashamed of. This isn't something to tuck away into a dark corner. This isn't, something. And I think for me and my family, it was really hard because I was like, I feel like a downer. I feel like I'm depressing people, and I'm getting told to, don't talk about certain things. And no, it's important to talk about them. There's not been one point in my life where somebody has brought up something hurtful to them that has happened to them or that they did themselves where I thought, I don't want to hear this. Where I thought, why would you tell me this? Where I felt or thought anything negative about them. If anything, my perception of them has only changed in the fact that I admire them more. So, why do I joke about my trauma? Why do I belittle it? Why do I make the stuff I've been through seem like nothing when it is something? If it wasn't something, I wouldn't still be thinking about it constantly. I'm sitting here and I'm watching butterflies float around the trees and the sound of the stream bubbling past, and I'm gonna go back to the chateau and hang out with all the artists. We're gonna have a glass of wine. I walked here with Deanna, who's like a really great friend that I've made here, who's been so encouraging and sweet, and I admire her and her art and her work ethic so much. And it's like I've cultivated this new community for myself, and I'm in this beautiful setting, and I deserve it. And for a while, I didn't think I deserved good things. But I do. And I think that's what I've learned the most here. And I've shared a little bit of my journey on social media so far, but not really, because I've been really trying to focus on the art. And I've had insane opportunities come from it. Like opportunities where I wasn't even beginning to imagine it really, because they were dreams. And now my dream feels more real than a dream. Because I tried. Because I said I think I deserve this, even though I really didn't feel I did. And now I feel so much more open. And is it painful and is it hard? Yes. But was it any more painful than when I was restricting myself and not allowing myself to feel anything? No. It's just pain in different ways. And honestly, this feels a lot more light. It feels a lot more like what Maddie says with clowning. It feels more like play. It feels exciting. It's exciting to feel pain because I was so afraid of feeling anything for so long because I didn't think I could survive it. And I'm beginning to feel it, and I'm realizing I can make something beautiful out of this. Look where I am. I make beautiful things. I bring beauty to the world and to people because I am a beautiful person. And I forgot that. And that was something I couldn't say out loud or didn't even think about for a very long time. I deserve this. Everyone deserves this. Well, not everyone. There are rapists and murderers and hateful people. They don't deserve this shit. But good people do. I, was struggling with crying so much. I was freaking out about it. And I just, we were doing the open studio, the artist open studio yesterday. And I went into one of the artists' room, Valeria. And I was already welling up when the artists were talking about their work and all of that. I was like, wow, this is beautiful. These people are insanely talented, and just their concepts of life and their connection to their art and their personhood is unbelievably strong and so incredibly unique and so incredibly moving. But she was talking about her struggles with depression, and I'm not going to go too into it. It's personal, but her art made me cry. I broke open and boo-hoo-hooing. I was like, wow. It was like a mirror being held up to yourself of, this is what you think you are. This is how much you hate yourself. And I think Valeria is amazing. I actually feel like she has such a soft and healing energy, so it's so contradicting. And I was like, wow, I do that to myself as well. That was such a beautiful thing. And it made me cry, which is great because I really wanted to cry before I left. And now I feel like I'm crying more. That's amazing. I want to cry. I want to feel things. That's what this residency has given me. I want to cry. I want to feel things. I want to be here. I want to be alive. I want to face my fears. I want to give myself the time to breathe, to make sure that this is what I want to say. I want to believe in myself. I want to believe that there are amazing, beautiful things ahead of me. and that I'm a person who's worthy of that. And that's what I've gotten here. And it's gonna be a while, you know. It's not like it disappears overnight, 3 weeks, I'm fixed. Like, but I have a sense, a direction on where I want to go and who I want to be that I didn't have before here. And with my work, you know, the film was really fun to do. It was a really great pivot. And then the writing, just getting it out there and focusing on that, not worrying as much about structure and how this is going to work and how that's going to work, but saying just get it on paper. We did writer's circle, people gave feedback on your work, and that was so helpful. I've never done anything like that. That was new for me, and it was really amazing and incredible to read other people's work and to be able to tell the person who created this work what your opinion is of it. It was great. It was like book club, but better. And having people receive mine and give their opinions and their thoughts and hearing so many amazing, encouraging things, that was something I really needed. And it's hard to admit you need that validation, but I did need validation because I didn't think I was good, or I knew I was good, but I didn't know if anybody else did. Yeah, I've always known I was a good writer, but I didn't know if I was capable of certain things. Didn't know I was capable of writing an entire book, which I haven't yet, but I'm going to. And I know that now. Didn't think I was like productive enough to do it. Didn't think I was dedicated enough to do it. Didn't think I had enough grit to do it. And now I'm like, yes, you do. And it's going to be good. You know, I'm starting to feel confident in that. I still don't know if this is a story I'm ready to tell. I still don't know if I'm ready to tell it, but I'm going to try. And I didn't get as much done as I'd liked, and that was a really hard thing for me. That's something I've also been really beating myself up about. I'm like, oh, you didn't, you know, like we went and did the visual studios. It was insane how much work the other artists got done. It was incredible. And I was like, wow, you didn't do that much. But that's okay because I'm going through a lot, and I'm on the right track. And now I feel like with the book, I have an idea of where I want it to go, and I have an idea of myself, and I have an idea of the kind of writer I am. That is a massive thing to have, honestly, because I really did not know if I was something I was even capable of doing. So, you know, inner work is also work. And I have to leave this spot soon because we're going to the final day celebration. And last night we also had a celebration. We drank wine, we danced all night, we had beautiful conversations well into the night. I think I went to bed at like 3 a.m. It was gorgeous in the artist studios. And now we're going to the gallery to see all the artists, you know, their work put up in the gallery and have a final champagne send off. And so anyway, I have to head to that. But there was something Nora said. She went around and told everybody something she liked about them or had learned from them. She looked at me and she goes, Dominique, you have so much rebellion. I'm not going to cry. She looked at me and she said, Dominique, you have so much rebellion in your heart. And it was crazy to me because I don't feel very rebellious or fiery or any of those things lately. But people still see it in you. Even when you stop seeing it in yourself, other people still see it in you. It's like I've only known her for like 3 weeks, you know? And she saw that in me. She's like, you have so much rebellion and fire in you. That was something that I thought I lost and that I blamed myself for. Because I was like, God, you're so scared of feeling anything. You've lost all your fire. But I still have it. And it's still noticeable and it's still visible and it's still there and it's still in the world. Oh, gosh. See, I was like, I can't cry. Now it's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful place. So, so special, my time here. Life-changing, really. This feels like it saved a part of me, and definitely it's put me, not even just put me on a different trajectory, it's confirmed the trajectory I'm on. I'm right to believe in myself. I'm right to feel things. I'm right to tell the stories that I do. Yeah. It's been great. And then I'm going to Paris for a couple of weeks, so but I gotta get back to Diana. So